You are watching Facts Me TV. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.
Like, hype, subscribe.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Facts Me TV. Here we are, Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. As I mentioned yesterday, the summer, we're like halfway over. And I couldn't be happier. I am a fall guy. Wait, I'm not a fall guy. I like the fall. How about that? Don't need to be a patsy, as they say. But guys, got a bang-up show today. A lot of it Candace Owens oriented. A lot of it ballistics oriented. But it all stems from Candace Owens. We're going to be breaking down the 6 obvious and major lies from her episode yesterday. We're also going to be taking a deep look at when she thinks she has an expert. But you know, an expert on apples doesn't know jack about oranges, right? And we're going to talk about that. You'll get what I mean when we get there. Also, I am going to start out this episode with a literal bang. But before I do that, at the end of this episode, I'm going to introduce something I've been keeping my eye on. And I want you guys to be curious about it. Because it all stems back. It all stems back to the 2 reports that I did last week. And I think, as we all know, Candace Owens is fully aware of who Facts Me is. She goes out of her way to make sure her fans don't, right? And, you know, last week I did a couple reports on the NCRI report. And was even commended. Facts Me was commended for my work on their research from the actual director of the NCRI. So I'm closing out today's show with something that I believe has stemmed from that attention that I'm giving that report. But we'll get there when we get there. But I'm starting tonight's episode off with a literal bang because of the candy cultist morons. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because look, all they keep saying is it was an exploding microphone, this, that, and the other thing. Well, you guys know here at Facts Me, we have debunked the exploding microphone tenfold. And then some. +2. Squared. You know what I'm saying? It's been debunked. But now, factivists, the candy morons, they can't accept that. So now, even though, this is the irony, now they're saying that, well, that's because shaped charges don't explode. That there's no fire, there's no smoke. I can't even believe that they're saying this with a straight face. So now I'm pushing. You guys remember the episode yesterday where I showed Charlie's body immediately after being shot. Now they're saying there wouldn't be burn marks or there wouldn't be damage to the shirt or anything like that because shaped charges don't explode or show any signs of an explosion. Yes, Factivus, I'm being for real. You have probably seen these comments yourself. Now, the irony of it is this. In that same breath, they back up Baron Coleman's burn marks on Charlie, where we have all said numerous times, it's bloodstains. This discoloration that Baron Coleman has amplified and raised the contrast in these pictures to try to pawn it off as being burn marks from either electrocution, from his electrifying microphone theory, or from the exploding microphone theory. So in the same breath, Factivus, her cultists are now saying that shaped charges don't show signs of exploding, even though we've all watched the pager bombs over and over again, throwing debris, smoke, flame everywhere. Okay? But they're saying shaped charges do not show explosive properties, while saying Charlie had burn marks on it. They're now saying that it wasn't an explosion bomb like we're trying to make it out to be, that it was shooting a projectile like a bullet. So that's what they're saying, and that's why I'm starting this show out with a literal bang. What you guys are about to see on the screen is actual patent and shaped charges, okay? Various shaped charges. So you can see exactly what happens when a shaped charge is detonated. Watch this. Look at that. You see all that smoke, all that recoil? Look at the burn marks. Look at the hole. It went completely through that ballistic gel. Completely through. Now, I'll stop it there for a second. Look at all that damage on the table from the shrapnel. I thought it didn't send anything out. I thought it didn't explode. Well, we just saw that. Went completely through this huge ballistics gel, block of ballistics gel. Went completely through it. Right? And in this particular case, it was further away than a microphone to hear. Right? So if they're now saying that it came out of here, a projectile shot out of here, and somehow hit him perfectly, but didn't go through, okay? It was more like this, right? Because it was a gunshot. We know that. But they're saying no explosion, right? Because they're trying to debunk the fact that there's no damage, no burns, no fire, no smoke. It was just shooting a projectile, right? Well, that demonstration you just saw was further away than the mic to Charlie's neck, and it went completely through that ballistics gel. Let's keep watching. Look at that. All the way through it. Look at the hole it made. Now here it is in slow motion. Look at that. A ball of fire, Factivus. A ball of fire. Look at that. There's no way 3,000 people would not see that if it actually happened. Now here's another example. Another shaped charge being detonated and filmed. Here it is in slow motion. Look at that ball of fire. Now this next one I'm about to play is literally set up as a shaped charge to shoot a projectile, such as a bullet. So this next demonstration is a shaped charge detonating and firing off a projectile. Okay, so this would be the closest thing to a Rode microphone being rigged as a shaped charge to shoot a projectile. Watch this. Oh my gosh, did you see that blast? Let's look at it again. Oh my gosh. Oh. Look at that, Factivus. Look at that. Every single one of those shaped charges I just showed you showed fire, smoke, and explosion and debris. Even damage to the surrounding area, not just what they were aiming at. Like in that first example, shooting directly into that ballistics gel, right? All the damage before it even got there. You saw that. All those jagged marks in that table. shrapnel. So now the candy cultists, what do you got to say now? There is an explosion. There is smoke. There is fire. There is damage. And this stuff goes all the way through. What's your excuse now? I am so tired of it, Factimus. I am so tired of it. But I just wanted to start off with that so I can cut that little segment out and throw it on Facebook and on YouTube and say, here, now we've debunked that excuse too, because that's all they are. They're excuses. Because you see, there's a difference between an explanation and an excuse. What you guys are throwing us is just one excuse after another. And guess what? We're unstoppable, kids. We're going to debunk every stupid thing you throw out there. You know when we won't? When you candy cultists actually start stating fact. Then we won't be able to beat you. In fact, we'll probably pat you on the back for growing up. Moving on. So Candace had her episode last night, and she is boasting that she got the opinion of a Navy SEAL, that she got the opinion of this. And, you know, her whole episode was nothing but schoolgirl, high school drama, soap opera drama, right? Like it always is. Reaching. It's tiresome, Factimus. It's tiresome. So, as always, as I like to do with her episodes, is I like to point out the biggest lies. Now, she does a lot of fabrication, a lot of embellishment, a lot of stretching the truth or attaching a little piece of truth to this big lie so it looks like it has some cred, right? Well, I dissected her episode from last night, and this is what we came up with. Let's get started.
General, same to you. So this rifle, this 30-06, it's a powerful rifle. What do you make of this narrative that the bullet might have hit Charlie's spine, which would explain why the damage wasn't what you would typically see with a rifle like that from that range?
No, that's not what happened. And this is the thing that hurts here is, and what bothers me the most out of it.
Wait, did you say, General, you don't think that's what happened?
Absolutely not. I'm with Rob. Something exploded on him. But I don't have to get into the details because I'm not in a court of law having to prove a darn thing.
Okay, so this guy, I'm going to stop it there because we're going to do what Facts Me does. Now, you love it. I mean, looking at her face, she's like, ha, 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 this is such a ha, ha moment. This professional saying there's no chance it was a bullet, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. She's just loving it because he's saying what she wants everybody to believe, right? But here's the thing, Candace, you got nothing. You got nothing. This is what I meant when I said earlier, if you have an expert on apples, do you go to them about information on oranges? No. You stick to them with apples, right? So let's take a little deeper look at this guy, Blaine Holt, that she is boasting, that she's just loving the fact, loving it that he is saying what she wants to hear, essentially. And I have really dug into this guy because I wanted to see, like, how could a legitimate military guy actually say that, you know, so very dismissive. Somebody who wasn't there, somebody who has no clue about anything. He even says he's got nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is like asking somebody that doesn't watch sports questions about sports trivia. Okay, so we're looking at Blaine Holt. He's a retired general. It's a viral claim, no documented ballistics expertise is what I'm covering here. Okay. The viral claim is what Candace is trying to make with this clip, saying that this retired general is saying there's no way it was a bullet. Okay. But she's leaving out the part that this man has no ballistics expertise whatsoever. So I did that for you, Candace. I went ahead and looked into this guy. But they say, I'm with Rob. Something exploded on him. So here is a former military dude, Blaine Holt, on national television, rejecting the 30-06 explanation of Charlie Kirk's death and presenting it as a conclusion when Holt himself actually said, I'm not in a court of law trying to prove it, right? And she leaves out the part that he's not a ballistics expert, okay? So I dug into him. He's a legitimate retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General. Okay, that's not in dispute. I thank him for his service. That's awesome. He was a command pilot, 376th Air Wing, blah, 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 NATO diplomacy. That's what he is. That's what he's done. Not a commander of the Air Force. It's just a specific rank that he had, right? But when you really start looking at this, okay, what the court record shows is they recovered during Charlie Kirk's autopsy. Something exploded is not what they uncovered in his autopsy. We know this, okay? The inconclusive no bullet thing, again, means nothing. It means nothing in the grand scheme of the point we're trying to make right here. But when you start looking at this guy, this is what really matters, okay? His actual biography, what this retired guy did, aviation and flight operations, logistics and airlift command, military planning, and NATO diplomacy, okay? Dude was a pencil pusher, okay? What he is not, he has no background in terminal ballistics, no expertise in forensic pathology, no expertise in firearms examination or explosive analysis. This guy is the exact opposite of everything you would want in an expert to get an expert opinion. Are you catching why I did this? Because she is boasting this guy's opinion, and he doesn't even have any ballistic or explosive expertise, experience, nothing. Okay, Holt has an impressive and legitimate military record, but he is not a documented ballistics or explosives expert and has developed a pattern of making dramatic, highly speculative media claims outside his established expertise. That's right, Factivists. You look at the history. This isn't the first time this man has done that. Okay, that is factual criticism. He has made comments about China that are out there, conspiracy oriented. He has made comments about extraterrestrials and aliens and UFOs. Okay, look at the history of this guy. This is the guy she boasts and puts on a pedestal as having an expertise opinion on ballistics and explosives when he has zero experience and research into any of that. So I thought that was a good thing to point out as we continue on this charade here. Let's move on to the next thing from her show.
Everyone knows you're trying to attempt this hat trick, and they don't care. They're just going to run it and go, doesn't matter. We're powerful. There's something that you can do. Bring on the grieving widow. Anyway, we are in the process right now of going back. I was telling you guys this last week and trying to remember all of the random cow manure that we were spoon-fed early on, right? It's actually quite a difficult task. I'd argue it's actually a full-time job to keep track of Fed slop, but somebody's got to do it. And do you remember when we were told by Governor Cox during an official FBI press conference, a briefing on September 12th, that the assassin changed clothes on the rooftop? That's what the public was told 2 days after the assassination, after they were able to pull, review, and release the footage to the public. Take a listen.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct. Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UBU.
Next question. Quick, I don't want to have to follow up on the BS that I just said. Now, standing to his side, obviously on the right-hand side of your screen, that's Kash Patel.
I gotta say, absolutely, the amount of disdain I have towards this woman now, it is nauseating listening to how disgusting and evil Candace Owens is. But she implies the suspect changed clothes on the rooftop. That detail was invented or never explained. Here's the truth. Prosecutors released surveillance video documenting the suspect's clothing changes as part of the confirmed timeline. It wasn't a fabricated detail. Candace is flat out lying. Flat out lying. Moving on. Let's get on to this next one. God, I can't stand listening to her.
This wouldn't get the job done. What's up with this screwdriver? And as we now know, the rooftop man neither assembled or disassembled his rifle on Losey. So did something go wrong? Did they not think that part through? Did they already plant the evidence and they had to just sort of make it work after that because it had Tyler Robinson's DNA on it? And they were like, oh, I can't let that go because that's kind of one of the only things that we have tying him to this rooftop. So we're just going to say he took it out as he was changing. Forget the changing part. Of course, when these questions started coming in about how nothing that the public officials were telling us made any sense, Dan Bongino then came out and did a news hit. You know, he's the tough guy who's going to beat up Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I can beat him in a fight. Well, Dan Bongino joined Megyn Kelly. I want you to understand this is on September 15th. So we're now 5 days removed from the assassination. He's working at the FBI and has every resource at his fingertip. And here's his excuse for why nothing's making sense. Take a listen.
That's another thing that people are confused about, because if Cash said that they found his, what we presume was his screwdriver on the top of the building and they found his DNA on it, leading many to believe he had disassembled the gun when he jumped off of the roof. But then it appears when you guys found it in the woods, it was assembled. So can you provide any clarity on that?
Yeah, and I was a little hesitant in a media appearance this morning to go into specifics on, especially the video and where the gun was. And there's a reason. Again, we only want to be transparent here.
Yeah, just tell us what you
suspect. Yeah, the suspect not cooperating the video is obviously grainy, and as folks in the video space know out there, we have a number of really excellent tools in our lab, which is they're doing amazing work and they've been up and handling this for days now. But the video is very grainy and I want to be very clear. And I don't want to, there was, I've already seen some online show. Yeah, I can see it on the screen. You'll see it's a grainy video. Now, I've been on that roof in that corner. And when you see the camera and the distance away, it's clearly not the best.
Okay, so you've heard her say it before and she just keeps repeating it, but she insinuates the screwdriver DNA evidence may have been planted to frame the suspect. But the truth is, DNA on the towel and screwdriver was independently confirmed. No tampering had been substantiated in any court filing. And there is a reason that the defense, whose entire job is to get Tyler Robinson off or a lighter sentence, isn't using anything Candace Owens is saying. Okay? There's a reason. And, with the grainy stuff, I don't know what her point was. He also said we've got the best stuff to make the video better. I'm probably using the same thing the FBI does, because I've been in film editing since 98, man. You know what I'm saying? She's so desperate, man. Digging back through all this stuff from 10 months ago, thinking everybody's just forgot about it, but we disproved it then and we're disproving it again now. You're just making our job easier.
Pack it quite slowly. I don't want to give you information overload today. So I just want you to park that in the back of your mind. Because I don't know about you, but I have not abandoned my deep sense that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But that the assassination took place in Mormon territory makes it curious. Curious perhaps until tomorrow when we begin to thread some interesting connections for you. Anyway, we will be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys, our great nation turned 250 this year. We represent 2.5 centuries of possibility, growth, and some of the greatest minds in human history. But what is the next 200?
Okay, the reason I included her talking about tomorrow is because that's something that is a part of every single one of her episodes. I've got this, but I'm not going to tell you about it until tomorrow. So that guarantees hundreds of thousands of people are going to pop in tomorrow, causing that algorithm to go up. It's genius in a way, but it's deceitful. But she states she has not abandoned her belief that Israel was involved in the assassination. And as we have said, it is widely reported as a baseless, unsubstantiated theory with no evidence at all. None. Like zero, Candace.
Doesn't deny that there are discrepancies, basically wants you to understand that those discrepancies are not important. Now, I would say, some would say, that Brian Harpole asserting that CPR was not performed, while Frank Turek says that it was performed in the car, is a major discrepancy and a major contradiction. But I want you to listen to Frank Turek because he owns it and makes it clear it's not a contradiction. Take a listen.
Brian. Well, we've heard all that. But is he calling different eyewitness CPR recollections a major contradiction? Turek's own account reconciles the timeline. CPR was only attempted in the final 30 seconds. Witness variance, we have talked about this. During chaotic emergencies like this is not evidence of lying. It's completely pointless. You're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. At this point, who cares? He was already shot. Okay? He was already dying. What's it matter if one person says they tried CPR and one person says they didn't? In the grand scheme of things, what does that even matter? It doesn't. It's not in question for the court case. It proves nothing other than people got some information wrong. Whoop-de-doo, Candace.
If I didn't know any better, it would look to me like they were getting the old gang back together, to use a phrase. But of course, I do know better. And our nation's FBI has never done anything wrong. They're honorable men. They just, can't seem to necessarily always get their stories together. By the way, speaking of gangs, and back to Ms. Jennifer Falmuina, she recently revealed in a podcast, don't tell me why she's also doing podcasts. Apparently she likes the media and cameras. She revealed that her sister was a social worker within the state of Utah. And of course, that allowed me an entry point to learn.
Oh my gosh. Getting the old gang back together. She's insinuating that Utah and FBI personnel appointments prove a coordinated cover-up. Guys, we went over this. I released that yesterday of what it would take to actually cover this up, and it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There is no evidence that connects these routine personal appointments to an assassination. Okay. Again, I have been saying this for months. You could literally line up anything and connect it in some way. You know what I'm saying? You could do it in some way, which is all she ever tries to do. And that's why there's never any actual proof. And of course, her new obsession is that lady, she was on TV. So what was your obsession with people on TV? Candace, you're on TV all the time. Erica's been on TV. I've been on TV. Lots of people have been on TV. What does that mean? What does that mean, man? Oh, she was on a Netflix show at one point. And? Oh, guys, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're getting to some goods. As if some of this stuff wasn't some goods, right? But we're getting into some more goods. The stuff you expect from Facts Me. So check this out, guys, and we will be right back.
You are watching Facts Me TV. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.
Every breath you take and every move you make, every time I take, every time I'm fake, you'll be watching me. Actually, every single day and every word I say, every clip I play is a lie I made. You'll be watching me. claim I make is for Erica. Since you've gone, I got rich using Charlie's name. I dream at night, I can only see his face. I look around, but it's Erica I blame. I'm so bold and I lie about the case. I keep crying, Charlie, 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 please. Every lie I speak, my grammar is weak. I'm black, not white. Turning point is right. You'll be watching me grifting. Fake and gay.
Like, hype, subscribe.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and if there's one thing I like to do, is I like to always one-up Candace Owens, which isn't really that difficult. In fact, this morning when I was getting ready for work, I kind of felt something rumbling, you know? So I went to the bathroom and, one thing led to another, and there was a dump involved. And I got up and I looked down and I was like, I would rather stare at that than at Candace Owens. The latest dump I took has more credibility and more substance than Candace Owens. I just want to make that clear. But guys, she brings one expert. She's talked to Sean Ryan, former Navy SEAL. She had Homeboy on the show there saying that it was a bomb or an explosion. It wasn't a 30-06. So when Candace brings one expert that, again, as I said at the beginning of the show, has zero ballistic or explosive background at all. Okay? Why? Because real people aren't going to agree with Candace. So she brings one. Fax Me brings 10. That's right, guys. What you're seeing on the screen is I spent last night putting together yet another research paper. Right? A 30-06 to not always pass through. 10 professional quotations straight from their mouths. Folks, that's what I'm bringing you today. As you can see, there's the pictures of all these guys I'm about to talk about. And I go down the line again. Just requested if anybody wants any of my research papers. I received an email this morning. One of you guys, I didn't even recognize you from the chat, so you must just watch the show. I don't want to say your name without permission, but had asked for the report I had done yesterday on how many people it would take to cover up Charlie Kirk's death. What they're using it for, I don't know, but the stuff is public. You guys can have it. But you can see, I just go right down the line of all this, and we're going to talk about it. She wants to bring an expert. I tell you what, I will bring 10. Let's go. A 30-06 does not always pass through. That's right, 10 sourced professional quotations. Let's kick this thing off. All right, let's break it down. Let's start right at the beginning. The precise claim supported, the evidence supports a limited defensible proposition, not a universal prediction. Supported conclusion, a 30-06 can fail to exit. Exit is possible, often common with some loads and shot pass, but it is never guaranteed. Direct 30-06 field forensics, an identified 30-06 shot in an animal or documented forensic case did not exit. Applicable construction, the expert ties non-expert behavior to a bullet type or load used in a 30-06. Controlled test, 30-06 projectile was stopped or fragmented in a test. And terminal ballistics principle, explaining why cartridge powder alone cannot dictate wound behavior. Let's continue on, my friends. Start going down the line of these experts. right, here we go. Who we have here, my friends, is Ron Spommer. He's a veteran outdoor writer and hunting ballistics educator. He is a teacher on ballistics. His quote, light cup and core bullets don't always exit. In documented context, in a cartridge comparison centered on the 30-06 Springfield, Spommer explains that light cup and core hunting bullets can expand or fragment so extensively that they remain in the animal. So that's our first guy, right? Let's move on to number 2. Who do we got here, my friends? We have got David Petzel, Field and Stream Rifles editor and U.S. Army Reserve veteran. He says going to pieces in the chest cavity and never reaching the ribs on the far side. Documented context, Petzel describes a 150 grain 30-06 bullet striking at approximately 210 pound deer at about 15 yards. Instead of passing through, the bullet broke up in the chest and did not reach the far side of the ribs. That was a shot at only 15 yards. Did not go through the deer. Moving on to our next expert. Who do we have? We have got Sam Fadala, firearms author and a veteran gun writer. He says the 180 grain SST did not exit. His documented context, Fadala reports the result of a 30-06 Springfield shot on an antelope at 124 yards. His plain finding is that the 180 grain Hornady SST remained in the animal. So now we've got multiple distances. We've got close proximity, and then we've got longer distance. Next up, we have got Craig Boddington. He is a retired U.S. Marine Corps colonel. This is a retired Marine Corps colonel. And he says these bullets are likely to remain inside the animal rather than provide through and through penetration and exit wounds. Boddington is discussing conventional cup and core bullets. Immediately beforehand, he identifies the 180 grain Hornady interlock as his longtime 30-06 load, then explains why this construction may not produce an exit. Moving on, my friends. Here we have John Haviland, longtime rifle and ammunition writer. He says the two Barnes 150 grain triple shock X bullets stopped under the hide on its far side. His documented context, in an American Rifleman article devoted to the 30-06 Springfield, Haviland describes two 150 grain Barnes bullets that broke elk shoulder bone but were recovered beneath the far side hide rather than exiting. This is what real expert testimony looks like, Candace. Moving on, here we go. We've got a doctor in the house, a forensic pathologist and chief medical examiner, Dr. Michael Baden. He says, coming to the rest on the left side of the back. Documented context, the official House Select Committee on Assassination summary states that Remington Peters soft point bullet fired from a high-velocity 30-06 rifle struck Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., fractured bone, and came to rest in his back. Going to say that again. The official House Select Committee on Assassination summary states that the 30-06 that struck Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fractured bone and came to rest in his back. All right, moving along, whipping right through these, my friends. Next up, got another doctor in the house. Forensic medicine researcher from Helsinki, Dr. Petteri Aurora. The full metal jacked match bullet fragmented at approximately halfway in the gelatin block. Aurora and colleagues fired 30 caliber bullets from a Tika M65 chambered in 30-06 Springfield into ballistic gelatin. CT documented retained fragments. The projectile broke apart about halfway through the block. Wow, it never happens. It never happens. A 30-06 always goes through and through. Oh, it never happens. Moving on, let's see who we got next here, guys, as we wind down my list of experts. we've got another doctor. Oh my, look at all these smart people, folks. He is a reconstructive urologist and a gunshot injury researcher. He is a gunshot injury researcher, Dr. Richard Santucci. The behavior of all bullets is unpredictable. High-velocity weapons do not reliably create massive wounds. His documented context from a peer-reviewed review of gunshot injuries, co-authored with Dr. Yang Jen Chang, it does not test the 30-06 specifically. It establishes the broader expert principle that velocity alone cannot guarantee a particular wound path or result. Moving on, we have got Colonel Martin L. Fackler, MD, U.S. Army Wound Ballistics Laboratory founder and combat surgeon. He says the severity of the injury produced is quite variable, erratic, and highly dependent on anatomic and physiologic considerations. His documented context, Fackler's statement concerns gunshot wounds generally, not just the 30-06 alone. It directly undercuts deterministic claims based on only cartridge powder and is reproduced in an ILEETA amicus brief citing his 1996 paper. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got this next guy. His name is John Barsness. He's a veteran gun writer and rifle columnist. So we've got writers, we've got scientists, we've got doctors, we've got colonels, former military guys. He says the bullets were all stopped by the fake deer. Documented context, Barsness fired 5 cartridges, including a 30-06 at a 150-pound test target made of moist earth and wood at 100 yards. Every projectile was stopped, plainly showing 30-06 penetration is not unlimited or automatic. There you guys go. And I put these up here. Editorial note, 5 entries are direct field or forensic 30-06 cases. 2 are direct 30-06 controlled tests. 1 is a 30-06 applicable construction explanation. And 2 provide broader peer-reviewed wound ballistics principles. This was a FaxMe research document. Again, guys, if you want your hands on just that document, email me at canyoufaxme@gmail.com and I will get that out to you. Of course, after this live, it will be its own standalone video. But next, guys, I want to close out this show with a theory. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. FaxMe today is I'm taking a technique right out of the Candace Owens playbook. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am just asking questions. But as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, and I want you guys to chew on this as much as you possibly can. Okay. You guys remember? Wait, the NCRI report that came out this month called Permission to Kill, How Candace Owens Built a Digital Assassination Culture Targeting Erica Kirk, right? I've covered that in 2 videos. I did it on a live and I did my own standalone presentation on Permission to Kill, which of course was commended by the director of the NCRI for just how freaking awesome FaxMe is, guys, right? Well, it's interesting.